Once we keep going deep, Chad and JT.
All right, butter me up, put me in the oven, and happy Thanksgiving. This is Chad Kroger coming in with the Going Deep and Chad and JT podcast. Guys, before we begin, we want to remind you that we're brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims pubed, for looking after our hogs, and making sure that when it comes to grooming, you know what you're doing below the belt. And thanks to Manscaped, we have the Lawnmower 2.0, which prevents nicks and cuts, and it's pretty legit, so use code GODEEP at manscaped.com. Ryan, do you manscape?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Good to know. All
That's
right,
good.
guys, I'm here with my compadre, Jean Thomas. What up?
Boom, clap, stokers.
And we are here with Ryan Holiday, best-selling author, author of Stillness is the Key. JT and I both read it fully, and we were stoked on it.
I still have a couple pages to go, but I loved it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was like a much-needed shot of wisdom.
Yeah, it really sort of came at a essential time, because it was a time when like I was letting a lot of ego come into my life, and this sort of reminded me to sort of remind myself of what's important in terms of like relationships and gratitude and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of say in the book, like, there's ego is the opposite of stillness.
Right.
Because as much as people think it's confidence, it's actually sort of like deep insecurity and anxiety all the time.
Yeah.
You're sort of going around comparing yourself to other people. You're going around thinking everyone's talking about you, and of course they're not. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we live in a time that obviously sort of encourages ego, clearly from social media and everything. So that's very cool to hear.
Yeah, it's kind of because we sort of live in the social media world. That's kind of part of our job. So, and as we've sort of climbed higher, I guess it's so you talk about in the book is sort of you let your possessions own you. Yeah. In the sense, so as you gain more traction, I think that fear of losing everything just compounds even more. Yeah, or even if they're not physical possessions, you're very concerned with how many followers you have or how many likes your most recent photo got. Yeah. Like I see this because I have two young kids, and I see my friends. It's so obvious that like they were feeling shitty about themselves, and they thought like, oh, if I post a photo of my kid this morning, I'll get a lot of likes, and then I'll know that I'm worth something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which feels very gross to me. Mm-hmm. But there's this just sort of endless, it's like what social media has revealed, if anything, is that we are absolutely insatiable when it comes to validation, that we have there is no amount that's too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Like, when you pull up someone's like Instagram story and it's like just like hundreds of the dashes. You know?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, you were not feeling good today, were you?
Well, that's often us. Yeah. We both do a lot of stories. Yeah.
No. There's a difference between like, hey, you posted 7 photos today, and like, hey, you posted 60 photos today.
Yeah.
Like, you did not experience a single thing where you were just like, oh, that was cool. It was like, I experienced this, and I need other people to know that I experienced it. Right. And then I need to check to see how many views.
To see that people like what I experienced.
Yes, and that I'm winning this fake game.
Yeah. It's almost, and this book sort of reminded me to get back to the core of why you do whatever you do, which is for the sake of doing it.
Of course.
Because like we do, comedy and stuff, and it's doing it for the sake of comedy, and the sort of the key is to have fun and enjoy the process and not sort of be so result oriented. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what I love about comedy is like that even the biggest acts in the world are going on in front of like 60 people or 13 people, because like it is about the process, and it's about reps. Mm-hmm. Writing is like books. It's a little different because you do them so even someone like me who's done a large number, it still haven't done that many. Yeah. And so you can sort of start to think that it's all about publishing when really it's about writing, And so, people just get very concerned with the external results. And the problem with the external results is that sometimes you control them, but a lot of times you don't. Mm-hmm. Like this book came out last week,
And so I'll know Wednesday. Like, so basically it's like you sell however many copies you're going to sell. And then, so the week, I think the sales run from like the day it comes. So it'd be like Sunday to Saturday. Like that's 1 week of sales. But then you don't find out till like about the following Wednesday, like where you fall on the list, like the bestseller list. And it's not an objective thing by any means, right? So you're sort of like just sitting there going, am I going to let this news that's art, like, then it's either going to happen or it's not, or are you going to let the fact that it's like, okay, I finished on Sunday and it's like, I did a great job. Like I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. But then like the news from this third party on Wednesday, it's going to tell me whether it was good or like that. But that's what people do, right?
Yeah.
You take, you enjoy it. Like you think, hey, I'm really great. And then you see somebody else has 10% more and you're like, actually, no, now I suck. You know, like that's the problem with it all.
Yeah. Compare and despair.
Yeah. Or comparison is the thief of joy.
Right.
Which is an expression I love.
And then, so it's the New York Times bestseller list?
So there's a New York Times, there's basically 3 national lists. So like when you see a book that's says like national bestseller, that means that it either made the New York Times list, the Wall Street Journal list, or the USA Today list.
Right.
But even those 3 lists have radically different criteria.
And you
which
and
is
your,
total bullshit.
And trust me, I'm lying. You said that like, if they have like an issue with you, they won't put you on the list, even if your book does the sales numbers, right?
So I've hit the Wall Street Journal list, 20 times. I've hit the USA Today list with all the books, but never the New York Times list with any of the books. So it's just you can't let think about how many great actors have never won an Oscar or an Academy Award, and so is that what we're going to determine? If you decide that like literally the Academy decides whether you're a great actor or not, you've now like handed over you've handed over your career to a body that's not yourself.
So what metrics do you use to kind of evaluate?
In my own career?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first is like, did I write what I think? Like, did I say what I wanted to say? Like, did I get there? Right? Because there are plenty of ways that you could compromise during the process or phone in the work or, like feel like you hit publish before you got where you wanted to go because you needed the money or you were tired or whatever. So like one is like, does the book say what I want it to say? Then the second is like, did I do my absolute best? Like, did I leave anything on the table? Right. And then the third is usually like, do the people that I know and admire, so not like not like, hey, do the critics like it, but more like, does a small group of people that I sort of let see the projects early, like did it do something for them? Right. And then
who are those people?
Just like friends and that I've sort of picked up over the years through the books. Like, so some are in sports, some are in business, some are other authors. But it's like, did people who really know what a good... So like, I guess what I'm saying is like, let's say the book came out and it was like ahead of its time or some radical experiment I was doing, and it sold 0 copies. But like the 10 or 15 people who I sort of consider to be peers were like, no, you like,
it's a banger.
You did it. You know, like people aren't going to get it, but you did it. That would be, so I don't totally control that, but I do feel like I control it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about getting notoriety for what you do is not actually like the stuff you get, but the access you get to people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And like and then like even with our stuff now, certain comedians will ask me for my opinion on something, and it's like the best feeling in the world. They're like,
right,
I'm gonna shoot this thing. Like, what do you think I should do? I'm like, yeah, like I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah. It's like you got into the club that you suspected existed when you were just a fan. You know? Totally. That's like the best feeling. And so obviously there's some scenario in which like I could know I did something great, but like even those people didn't get it. But like to me, they're a pretty good proxy for like, you can't really totally be objective about your own work. And so you kind of want that. The reason they're asking you is the same reason that I'm asking the people in my space, is like, you want to just make sure you're not just like way out too far over your skis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're making a lot of stuff, you're going to be wrong off. Like,
some of your stuff's going to suck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I heard Jan Wenner from Rolling Stone used to just do blow in the office and then just start throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
And all the writers were like, 9 out of 10 ideas were the worst thing you ever heard. Like literally would have like
one of them was great,
brought the whole place down. And then one of them was just the most genius thing you ever heard.
Sure. Yeah. No. So like those, and then sort of the fourth one, like sales matter to me, but as much lower on the criteria. So I guess the point is like, it's hard to fake sell, like moving units. Like, did the fans buy it because like it did something for them? That obviously matters to me much more than, winning some award or whatever.
Do you ever find yourself falling victim to the external results? And then what are some ways that you pull yourself out of that trap?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you are, I mean, one of the, so I was in this sort of author group on Facebook. It was like, and it was great. People were sharing all sorts of like information, but I found that the information, instead of making me better, was making me more sort of status obsessed is the wrong word, but it was like, I was, if I didn't know other people's deals or other people's sales figures, it wasn't something that was like, I cared about. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But knowing like, oh, so-and-so just got X. Now all of a sudden that was changing my opinion on what I got. And I just found that like wasn't that wasn't moving the ball forward in some way. It was only like making me not feel good. So yeah, you can get concerned with like what other people are selling. You can get Mark Maron talks about this, like he'll be like, how did they get that? You see someone get something and you're like, and you're like, all you want to is like, oh, they must have like,
but
cheated.
It's something he would never even want to do.
Yeah, you never want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You very well could do it. You just like refuse to do whatever is required to get that thing. You're just like jealous of the other person's result. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you can get but so one of the reasons I quit, I changed the password on my Facebook account in like January, is that I found that I was consuming information that was only contributing to professional unhappiness. And I'd much rather just be sort of down, focused on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it seems like you're always like checking yourself for like the like ego stuff that's popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a process. Like I think people go, it's like, oh, I don't have an ego. It's like, no, everyone has an ego, and it's always going to be manifesting itself differently in different phases in your life.
Yeah, you cut off one tentacle and another one's going to like.
It's like addiction. Like people will quit drinking and then all of a sudden like they
start gambling.
They start gambling, or they start shopping online a lot. Like the energy has to go somewhere. So it's like a constant process of like, oh, okay, it's manifesting itself this way or that way. Like for me, as I sort of close different, what I find is that I'll replace it with just doing stuff. So it's like, as long as I'm busy, so maybe I'm not comparing myself against other people, but it's just manifesting itself, and like I'm just like doing. So I'm never stopping.
Do you have a morning routine to sort of clear your mind?
Yeah. So this morning, I've different. Not only I have different routines, or have morning routines, but I have like different routines depending on sort of like where I am and what I'm doing. So, like I'm in LA today. We're at the athletic club, and so this morning I got up early. I went swimming. And then I wrote in my journals. Then I had breakfast. I read while I had breakfast. And then like if I wasn't doing this, like if somehow I like didn't have something to do till the afternoon, or if I was at my house, I would have just gone right into the writing process. So it's sort of like I'm trying to get into whatever the day is as soon as possible. And I'm trying to use the phone or devices as little as possible. Yeah,
I loved what you said in the book about routines and sort of cultivating this sort of a little bit of a regimented schedule.
Yeah.
So that it helps you achieve sort of peace of mind, especially when you talk about sprints.
Yeah.
Because I love doing sprints.
Yeah.
And so when you mentioned sprints, how that sort of, you get into a meditative state, I was like, I totally, that's sort of, I mean, I love the physical benefits, but mostly it's just a feeling I get where it's sort of to get my mind right.
What's your sprinting routine? What do you like to do?
I do 20 minutes.
Okay.
First 10 minutes, 45 seconds on, 45 seconds off.
Okay.
And then after 10 minutes, I go a minute on, a minute off.
Okay.
And then I do 4 miles per hour and then 11.8.
Like, you do this on a treadmill?
Treadmill.
Okay.
Yeah. At Crunch.
Nice.
It's a good gym.
It's a good gym, yeah. A lot of solid dudes there. And ladies. Yeah, so or actually sometimes if we do something big, like we do like city council meetings for our stuff, I'll do sprints after. Or like if we
to wind down the energy?
Yeah, or if we get like a viral video.
Yeah.
Like we on Barstool, for example, I'll have so much pent up energy that I just go straight to the gym and just run it out.
I did see one of your city council meetings, and it gave me like PTSD flashbacks to one of the worst experiences of my life.
What was that?
So I was working at American Apparel. The factory was right down the street from here, actually. I'd sort of just started, and it was like a sort of chaotic, dysfunctional company where, like different people had the power to do all sort of depending on your relationship with the founder. And this like several years previous, this like girl had gone to San Francisco and just signed a bunch of all over the state, just signed a bunch of leases. Like she had the power to sign leases to open new stores, but she didn't really know what she was doing. And so she signed a lease for a store in San Francisco in the Mission District. This is like I think she signed it in, let's say, 2006, and then so it happened in 2007. And San Francisco was not, the San Francisco of today. It was sort of much quirkier and weirder. And so she'd signed a lease in the Mission District, and the rule was if you had more than 10 locations, you had to get this like sort of special city council approval to open. It was like a way to prevent like a Walmart from just like opening in the middle of town.
The whole city, yeah.
And so American Apparel had way more than 10 stores. And so people got really mad that we hadn't like followed the process, right? And so this like huge protest erupted that like we were going to open this store in the Mission District. And like there was these protests, and like people were defacing the store, and there was all this. And anyways, somebody called me. I just started, and they were like, Ryan, you have to go fix this. And there was a city council meeting, and they sent me to San Francisco. So you can imagine a regular city council meeting in a normal city, and then a city council meeting in San Francisco. And they sent me, and they told me I would have 10 minutes to talk. And I got up there, and they told me I had 2 minutes as I was starting, so I could basically get through like 20% of my remarks. And so I talked, and then they were like, okay, you sit down now. And then I had to sit there as I think they allowed 200 people to speak, and 200 people, one right after another, went up and just yelled at me for 5 hours. And like I saw a photo of it recently, like it like shows up in Google Images, and I'm wearing like a gray shirt. I'm like literally just like the whole side is gray because like you can imagine, like it's just crazy people who want to yell basically, right?
Yeah.
But like very rarely is like the person responsible for the thing there. Mm-hmm. And so like I was there as like the face of the company. And like this one guy got up and he was like, American Apparel paid me to be here today. He basically did what you do. Mm-hmm. He was like, American Apparel paid me today, but I've decided I'm not, like they paid me to be a shill, but he's like, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to come clean. And he like did this performance art where he pretended to be like a paid spy that was like revealing.
Mm-hmm. Wait, but that wasn't true?
It was total. It was just a crazy person.
Wow.
Whoa, but was it believable?
Yeah, I mean, it was insane. Just imagine just all of this for like several hours. And so it was just one of the weirdest. It was like an episode of Parks and Recreation, but it was my real life.
Did you guys end up winning?
No, of course not. No, it was horrible.
What was the name of the guy who ran that company, American Apparel?
Dev Charney.
Right.
Yeah.
So was that like a company that was like totally built around just like the size of his personality a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it felt like it rose like so.
Yeah.
quickly, and then it kind of had like a big like
crash
too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
And he worked himself into the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like
I talk about him in the book a little bit.
Yeah. How he sort of he would like conduct. He had to like call employees until he could fall asleep, right?
Yeah. He would do that. I mean, so his thing was he had like an open door policy. So it's like anyone could call him at any time. But he had 12,000 employees in 20 countries, which meant like someone was always calling. And I think the sleep deprivation like actually did get to him. And I think he cracked under the pressure a little bit. I mean, there was at one point, you know where La Mirada is? Mm-hmm. We like opened this sort of like distribution facility there. And like it was one of those things where there was supposed to be kind of a slow transition. You know, like basically when you transfer warehouses, you set up 2 parallel warehouses and then you turn one off and switch to the other. You don't go like, you don't just like move it all over there at the same time, because like the whole thing would explode basically. And so it was like, let's say they had like a 3-month transition plan. He was like, I want it transferred, by the end of the week or something like that, which it was like a bad idea. And so, and I'm not remembering the details. So if people involved hear this, they'll probably get upset with me. But basically it's like let's say he rushes the transfer and then the wheels start to come off. Mm-hmm. So it's like totally his fault. But then he like sort of heroically sweeps in to solve a problem that he's like that he created. And so he gets there and it's like, pandemonium. So he takes one of the offices in the building and he installs a shower and a bed and he moves in and he sleeps there for like 6 months. But because he's sleeping on the floor of a warehouse working 24/7, instead of making it better, it's like he's sort of descending into madness basically. Mm-hmm. It was insane. Eventually like somebody called his mom and his mom came and like quietly like took him home and he recuperated.
Would you say anything to him? Would you be like, dude, I don't know if this is like sustainable?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like like earlier this year, I guess it was last year, like Elon Musk sort of seemed to be in this like crazy downward spiral.
Yeah.
You can imagine a lot of people like Elon Musk, like, or they're like Donald Trump, like, just don't tweet anything. Like everything will be cool. Just like, don't do this.
Right.
And he's like, you can't stop. That's sort of like, or Kanye West, or like, don't go see Donald Trump.
Right.
Like, but I have to. And you just get in a sort of a manic cycle and you can't get out of it.
They think they like can't live without that behavior, but it's just like a false truth that they're telling themselves.
Yeah. It's like people can't tell you no. You can't tell yourself no. You can't relinquish like power or control. And then it's like, so imagine like, so you cause this problem and then you move into the factory, you're not sleeping, you're angry at these people when it's actually your fault, and so like it just becomes like it becomes a vicious cycle. Like you made this mistake, now you're not sleeping, so now you're exhausted, you feel like you're the heroic like savior of it when really you're actually the problem. Mm-hmm. If you just like went back to your house and slept, it would probably fix itself over like a couple weeks. Yeah. But you're there. Like just imagine if you were like working at a company and your boss was sleeping on the floor in like the next room. Like it would be insane.
I love what you said in the book about like how just being patient with problems, like not feeling like you have to fix every problem in that moment, and then most of them will like correct themselves if you can just like detach from the intensity of it a little bit.
Yeah. Or just like, it's like somebody sends you a nasty email. And it's like, what if you just like didn't see it?
Right.
Like 3 weeks later, you'd have like some positive interaction with them and it would all be water under the bridge. But if you decide to go like, how dare you speak to me this way? I mean, look, there's some problems that you have to nip in the bud, but a lot of times we tell ourselves we have to nip it in the bud when really it's like completely an isolated incident and we're just like expanding and exaggerating the significance of whatever it is.
Yeah, like you talk about wu wei, is that how you say it?
Yeah, non-action.
Non-action. And it's sort of like the cultural norm. I think it's changing now, but it's like the harder you work, the more successful you'll get. And now people like Arianna Huffington, they talk about like Churchill.
Yeah.
And all these people talk about the importance of, it's just balance, you need to enjoy work hard and enjoy your time to achieve probably the best results.
Well, I imagine you guys with some of the comedy stuff, it's like if you're like, we need 7 bits today, that's like the worst way to come up with bits.
Yeah,
you know,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm so
obsessive. But like for me, like the book idea I'm gonna do next, like I came up with it when I was like on vacation with my family. Like if I had not taken the vacation, so if I had not decided not to work, I wouldn't have had the work breakthrough. Yeah. Or like it might seem like, oh, I have all this stuff to do. Like, how can I justify going swimming? But it's like, actually, no, the swimming was like the most important creative thing that I'm going to do today, even if I won't get the benefits of it until like later this afternoon. It's like where you are mentally, where you are physically, where you are spiritually has a huge impact on what place the work ultimately comes from. But we think like, oh, like it's really important. I'm not going to go to bed tonight, or like, oh, this is really important. Like I have to like work. And oftentimes, like, look, if you work at a factory, yeah, of course you have to like show up. That's the only, but if your job is to be creative or to have ideas or to, decide how to solve difficult problems, like often doing is not the way you have those mental breakthroughs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so hard to, cause my dad's pretty like stoic.
Okay.
He's a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's
what kind of doctor?
Hand surgeon.
Okay.
And he's 73 now.
Okay.
His mindset is still, he's like, why would I stop working? He's like, what would I do? And so I have that in me.
Sure, me too.
And I apologize to JT because I get so obsessive because I'll just be like, we need to do this and this and this. And so I'm learning now to sort of cultivate that patience.
It helps a lot. I mean, it creates a lot of...
Sure.
I need a spark to...
Yeah. Well, you guys probably
moving.
balance each other out.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
So, but I do find I'll go on like hikes and stuff, and that's where my most creative juices come from.
Right.
As opposed to just staying in the pocket and just like staring at like a notebook, just like I need this joke to come out.
Well, and like being a surgeon, like working is doing the surgery. You know, your dad's not like for a hike and he's like, oh, this is how I will do the surgery. Like it's much more of a sort of a repetitive process, right? Yeah. And I think as the kinds of professions that are possible have opened up because of the internet and because of where society's gone, it's just it's a little different. And like I think about that, with my parents, whereas like they only got paid if they were at work, and that's like not how it is for me. Like, and it can be very lumpy. You can have an idea that could be worth several years of work, and so you have to, whatever it takes to get you to a place where you can do that is where you want to go. And so that's sort of what I call stillness in the book, is like that whatever space you get in, where on a hike you have an idea or in my case, like a book idea or one sentence that I need to fix one part in one chapter. Mm-hmm. There's lots of ways to get there, and it's not usually like scheduling.
Mm-hmm. And I think like it was like David Epstein said when we talked to him, that like if it's the same process over and over again, repetition is so important for being better at it. Yeah. But if you work in a more dynamic space, it's not like that.
No, it's not like that.
I mean,
at
you
all.
still need to have the reps, but it's
well, you need different kinds of reps. And you can burn out in a way that is different. I mean, you could certainly burn out as a surgeon, but it's like you can, if you're not having the sort of space or freedom to be creative, you're not going to do the work that you need to do.
I've been using your stillness too. Like I was at a concert with my girlfriend, who's like the biggest fan of yours, by the way, and I'd love to get a signed book for her.
Sure. What concert?
We saw Vampire Weekend. Okay. And they were great. I mean, they did the same guitar for every song. It's like do 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 do, and it gets on my nerves. But they have a beautiful sound around that too. Yeah. But I was just dancing like crazy to one of their songs, Walcott. She's like, "You're going crazy." I was like, "Actually, if you read Ryan's new book, I'm actually in stillness right now because I'm very present and I'm letting the music flow through me. Nice. I'm just totally in the moment." Yeah. Very cool. So I've been calling everything I do basically stillness.
Sure, that works for me.
All right, cool.
He does have a knack for being able to get into the moment. I think he has a inner passion. I think that when you spark it.
Got it.
Well, when good music comes on, he just starts dancing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it comes from my mom.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Referencing the Kafka letters to his father. I read that. I think Christopher Hitchens talked about that in
really?
Catch 22. Well, I mean, just referenced it.
Yeah, no. I don't know where I heard about it, but I wondered if that was where.
I think we have a lot of the same fandom too, because you're a big Tyler Cowen fan, and I love him. Yeah. And then I love that you tricked your way onto being on his his blog. That was amazing.
I met him for the first time a couple months ago in Utah. It was awesome.
Is he just as brilliant in person?
Yeah. It was hilarious.
His podcast is amazing,
dude. It's the best. It's like one of the few that I've really listened to.
The one with Carl von Nosgard. I started reading his book too.
Oh yeah.
Just the way that he asks questions is just different than.
I love when he does the audience one, and he's like, "Do not ask multi-part questions.
I will
if you
stop
start talking. I will cut you off."
Yeah, he's like real cool about it. You know, people always ask self-aggrandizing questions during Q&As.
Oh right.
Where they're like, "I really felt this way about the thing,"
He's
and
like,
I have my own project that's kind of parallel to it, and everyone's like, "Shut up!" Like he will literally be like, "Stop," or at least threatens it.
Yeah.
But in the Kafka Letters to the Father, I remember reading that, and it really impacted me, especially the part where he talked about, because his dad, I guess, was like an overbearing kind of ass.
Yeah.
And
did you relate to that?
No, my dad's great, but I related to this one part about having my dad was overbearing, but not an ass, I would say.
Yeah.
I think. And then but he says, like, when you punished me, it was my fault, and then when you didn't punish me, I was grateful to you for not punishing me.
Yeah.
So it was like always my fault, and I was always in gratitude to you, or upset at myself for disappointing you. And I thought that really speaks to a lot of dynamics when you have like a boss that you really want to impress, or like your parents and stuff like that.
There's a part in the letter, and then I read about another book, but he gave his dad, like his first book or whatever that he wrote, and it just sat like unopened on his dad's nightstand for like ever.
Dude, that's torture.
Yeah.
But so he got all of his success after he died, right?
Yeah.
It was all posthumous?
Which is why, which is the really hard part about results, right? Like, that happens. Does that mean it wasn't good? Of course not.
I know, but I'm like, what would I rather have? Like, like John Kennedy Toole, like with Confederacy of Dunces, like you're like these.
Yeah, no, I talked about that in Ego. Like
these poor fucks, man.
He writes this book. And his editor and his agent's like, this sucks. And then he kills himself. And then the same book wins like the Pulitzer Prize.
Would it have
Nothing changes.
Does the story, does the context need to be there for it to, I think they're all amazing books. I haven't read Kafka actually, but I've read A Confederacy of Dunces and it's amazing. Yeah. But
I see what you're saying. If he doesn't kill himself, do people people think it's still think it's good?
Yeah, because it makes me think about you too. With like, and you're such a tremendous writer. Like, Stillness is amazing. I've only read 2 now, but like, it's amazing. But like, if you hadn't done the Trust Me, I'm Lying stuff, if you hadn't lived that life first, would you have?
Yeah, look, I think that certainly it enhances the narrative, but like, Walker Percy is one of the great novelists of the 20th century. That's who the mom, if you've ever read The Moviegoer, it's just like a fantastic book. After her son dies, the mom finds the book and she brings it to him. And I don't know how much of the story she told him, but like when he saw it, he was like, this is a masterpiece. Like, people who had real taste knew instantly that it was great. So maybe it doesn't win the awards, but like, look, most people that
good
read,
is good.
Good is good, and most people that read the book aren't like, oh, I'm reading this because I know he kills himself.
Right.
But I guess to me the story is that a lot of luck, a lot of random chance, a lot of extracurricular stuff goes into making things successful. And so there's all sorts of brilliant work that doesn't get appreciated right away or doesn't get appreciated in the artist's lifetime. And so obviously that would be heartbreaking, but that can't be you can't be doing it for the recognition, because the recognition is not what you control.
And you can't predict it. Yeah. And then, but I thought it was cool too, reading Trust Me, I'm Lying and then Stillness, because it almost feel like, you needed stoicism because you were in this like vicious system, even though you knew how to kind of play it, but you knew you couldn't change the system. So you just changed yourself. Yeah.
I mean, I think what I say in the beginning of that book is that I was like sort of not integrated. Like, I had a part of me that was doing this stuff that was sort of thrilling and trollish and fun, but also probably knew it wasn't right. But it was also my job, So there's sort of an ends justify the means, rationalization. But was trying to sort of move past it or get out of it. So it was like I had 2 different parts of me, and then I wanted to get to a place where I wasn't so compartmentalized. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from the book is when you say, peace is when we realize victory and defeat are the same.
Yeah.
Just because, thinking about that stuff gives me so much, it's such a good feeling inside of just doing stuff for the sake of doing it and enjoying. Because like you're talking about with your writing, that's when you're writing and you're in that flow, that's sort of your happiest state. I think you said that on Pete Holmes' podcast.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like when we're making stuff and we're doing comedy, when you feel like you're in a creative mode.
Yeah, that's the best.
And then when you become result oriented, it ruins it. It
totally ruins it. There's a Marcus Aurelius quote where he goes like, the rock gains nothing by going up and loses nothing by coming down. And so I kind of think about it that way. It's like when everyone's saying you're amazing, it's not changing the quality of it. And when nobody's getting it, or it's very hard right now, for instance, for anyone to get any kind of attention that's not political, right? Like Trump has just sort of swallowed the media world. So like anyone that wants to get attention has to be like overtly political. So that means like a whole bunch of awesome stuff is just like not getting the attention. And then the stuff that is getting attention, it's not really a statement of its quality. It's just a statement of like what the news cycle is demanding. And so I don't know. I just think that chasing that is not a good place to be. And it doesn't really say anything. To me, it's the work that matters.
How would you advise, like, if you were doing like the campaign management for like someone running against Trump, what would you tell them to do? I'm sure it's different person to person.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Democratic candidates haven't really realized how insatiable the news cycle is, and so like what Trump is really good at, even when he's totally wrong, even when he's being insane, is that he's really entertaining, and the Democratic candidates seem to think that the way into the White House is like through virtue signaling, like showing how pure they are, when really, to me, the way into the White House right now is like by telling a really compelling story and driving the news cycle rather than reacting to it. And so I think right now with like the impeachment stuff, Trump's just like throwing everything he can at it. And it's actually kind of, if you notice, it was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it was like, holy shit, this is really bad. I can't believe he did this. And now it's like hopelessly confusing because it's like, there's this and this. And it's like, and Joe Biden's just like.
Yeah, he throws out all these equivalencies. And they
Well, he's not really, like, he's just like, Trump shouldn't be saying this, like that's like the extent of his response. Right. He's like not able to tell a story of his own. He should be able to seize this and turn it into a way to dominate the news cycle, but instead it's like he's on the bad end of the cycle.
Yeah.
You see that in kind of entertainment these days when they have this agenda. They're like, we need like comedy and stuff, or they're like, we need to take down Trump. We need to show how bad he is. But I feel like along the way they sort of lose what they're really trying to do is entertain and tell funny stories and compelling stories. So it's sort of
and it like diminishes them to make him the center of what they're doing, when they should be at the center of it.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about sort of the importance of relationships.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, especially in like the entertainment world and stuff, and I'm sure with writing, it's like you need to be isolated to be successful. You need to like.
But I don't have time for a relationship right now. I'm focusing on my career.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, comedy would be really hard because comedy logistically is so difficult, in the sense that like, I would never want to be in a club at like 1 a.m. That's like the opposite of normal life for me. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I've been with my wife since I was in college, and it's not only not held me back, I think it's done the opposite of that. And so I'm a big proponent of sort of being on a team rather than sort of doing this as like kind of a lone wolf thing. I think it improves the work actually. I think most importantly, it prevents the stresses and the temptations that come along with the work from fucking with you too much. So like in American Apparel, like there was shit going on, but like I was going home at 7.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you didn't have all
keeps
your
you out of trouble.
Yeah. It keeps you out of trouble. It prevents you from taking any of it too seriously. And it also helps ground you in reality. So you're not like, oh yeah, this is normal.
Right.
You know?
Ta-Nehisi Coates says like, I live simply so I can write like radically or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And he has like a wife and a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Achieve like a balance in all areas.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm here and then I'm here and then I'm here, and they're like, they're on the road all the time. Like I'm on the road right now for the book, but it's like I have a place that I have a home that I want to get back to. They're just like, they're like drifters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I dated a girl like that. She was really compelling, but she had big ups and downs. Yeah,
it's kind of glamorous and it looks good on Instagram, but like I think it's really lonely and kind of sad.
Yeah, because it's like you receive all these accolades, you have all these accomplishments, but if you're just isolated, in the end, who really cares?
Right. I think all you want is someone to share it with, and I don't think it's like you gotta get married, you gotta have kids, you gotta be with only one person. There's different ways to do it, but it's just like they don't have a job, they don't have a relationship, they don't have an apartment, they don't have a house. Like they're living out of a fucking backpack. Yeah. Like they're drifters.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have like a crew, even if it's just a crew of friends that are like your guys that you can come back to and they're the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I think we romanticize the drifters so much too with like the beatniks and stuff like that, and then
a lot of them were fucking drug addicts, and a lot of them killed themselves. You know,
like, do you like their writing? Are you
not really?
Yeah, a lot of my friends don't. I'm not. I've never read them, but a lot of my friends are like, dude, it's kind of trash because they didn't revise and stuff. It was all like first drafts. Yeah. Not for you.
No. So I don't know. I think the reality is most of the people on the other side of what you're making are not drifters. So like the art becomes really unrelatable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like, who are you making this? Like, the reality that you live in is not at all. It's like how like every TV show and novel is like starving artist living in LA, or, you know, a starving writer living in New York. It's because that's all they know. Like they don't know what normal people are. I think like someone like Bruce Springsteen, his writing is so good because it reflects such a broad swath of.
He's my favorite musician of all time.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Well, but I think also he lives 10 miles from where he was born.
Yeah, he's tethered. He's like, and as much as he kind of hates where he grew up, like in dark it is. Yeah, he's still tethered to it. Yeah, he had to go and come back and go and come back.
Now there was a time where I hated the OC, where I'm from. I was like, I resented it. You know, all the dudes were too hot. Yeah, all the girls were too hot. Everyone was just too hot.
Yeah, sure.
And then at a certain point, I was like, you know what? I love hot people. That's just where I grew up.
Have you watched the Hills reboot?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
It's good?
It's so good.
The original was phenomenal.
I'm like obsessed with it because now they're all older. I mean, it's like so preposterous that they're like pretending that they're like all friends, and they like brought in one of the actual characters from the OC and like pretends.
Did they? Oh,
yeah, Misha Barton is on it. And she's like, we've been friends for
years.
Misha
Barton's on it?
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
It's so meta. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
but the best part is like they're all sort of like our age, but like growing up, it didn't feel like they were my age. Like it felt like adults, you know? Yeah. But like they all just like talk about how anxious they are all the time. like it's just like super real. Like
their problems have matured.
Yeah, their problems are like, they're just like anxious or like, they're just like, I'm so anxious. Like Heidi, this is my favorite. Like Heidi has like a kid and she like refuses to like go out because she doesn't want to leave her kid alone. Like it's just like super normal. It's the best. It's awesome. So funny.
Weird about their 401ks.
Is Justin Bobby still on there?
He is.
He's an incredible human being.
How's that?
I mean, there's just nobody like him. I mean, like he's so good looking and he's just such a douche, but he's so unapologetic about it that it's like you can't help but just like him a little bit.
I could nerd out about this show for quite some. It's his like arc on the new season is like so preposterously constructed. It's like the best.
Does he play it convincingly?
Somewhat convincingly, but then it's also just like like so the thing is like it's a sort of like will they won't they with like Stephanie Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Like,
and Spencer's pissed about it.
Yeah, sort of. And then Audrina's pissed about it. It's like the best. It's because they were just like clearly they just like put all the characters up on a board and then were like drawing triangles and they're like, where can we create drama? It's the best.
I love it.
Siesta Key's also fire. Have you watched that?
No.
Oh, it's on MTV too.
Okay.
But they're in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Sort of Laguna Beach vibe, but reality or the hills vibe.
Reality.
Yeah. And it's just really hot people on an island with huge houses. They're just like
the villain, dude.
The
villain. He's like this rich kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say. Also, Spencer has like a business where he sells crystals now.
I didn't want to say. I work out at the same gym as Spencer, so I hear him talking about it. And one time he came in, he's like, "Hey, Sifu." He's talking to the guy who trains him. He's like, "I'm gonna get a handgun," because like the trainer was like, "He needs a handgun. Like he's got crystals on him at all times." I was like, "I don't think Spencer Pratt from the Hills should have a heater on him."
I don't think he should feel like that.
Yeah, I was like, "What am I looking at, dude?" Yeah.
No, it's like it's the best, and I think the reason I like it is it makes me like think back to however young I was when I was watching it, like in high school or whatever, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is what life is like. And then you're older, you're like, this is the most preposterously scripted. You know, like there's this one scene, he's like just doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu in his like living room with like a trainer. And it's like, they were just like, well, we need him to do something. You know, like.
That's my dream. I love combat sports. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, it's the best.
Laguna Beach was like life goals for me. I would like at night visualize. I'm like, I need to live that life.
Which character did you want to be?
I like Talon.
Talon was probably the coolest. I had some friends who played football with him, and they said he laid hat too. He was good. Yeah, and he cooked dinner that one time. He had a day with LC, and he put together like a beautiful Italian dinner for them. Like he had a skill set at like 16.
He was just a beast. He was so chill, and he never really attracted drama like Steven. You know?
Do you know what he's up to? Have you looked?
He's an actor, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he was dating Rod Stewart's daughter for a while.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Beast.
There you go.
So yeah, his life's been. I knew some of those families too. Like I remember the Reinhardts. Their dad like invented frozen burritos or something crazy like that. Like that makes you royalty in Orange County. It's like
that's like totally what an Orange County fortune would be based on.
Yeah, exactly.
In New York, it'd be like, yeah, they own these buildings, or the dad was the CEO of Boeing. But in the OC, it'd be like it's a burrito fortune.
His dad's like the burrito king. I was like, what kind of burritos? They were like Chico's burritos. I was like, that's amazing.
Well, that's my favorite thing about like the Ball family is that like there's like the Ball estate, but it's in like Chino.
Right. Yeah.
I'll do the Slurpee guys next door.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So I'm so
sorry.
No, it's great stuff. I love it. I wish we could keep going, but I'm so interested in just like your trajectory, like 'cause you drop out of college and then you become like this marketing wonderkin, and then you transition into like basically writing about philosophy.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, did you always just kind of see the world differently, or was there an aha moment where you were like, wait, I kind of know how this whole thing works, and I think I can skip levels here?
So it wasn't so much a transition. Like I remember when I went to work at American Apparel, they wanted to hire me to do some like marketing stuff, and I was like, look, I want to do that, but like I have this like blog, like I'm a writer, and so like we had to work out an agreement with, like, for instance, the confidentiality agreements that like I could continue to do that thing. So anyways, the marketing book came out, and people were like, oh, you write books about marketing, but really I'd been writing about philosophy for like several years at this point. So I kind of had these two parallel tracks, and it was like the marketing track went as far as I was willing to ride, and then I hopped off and was like, I'm going to do this other thing.
And so I'm always just so curious about like the narrative component of it. Were you like, all right, I got to do this marketing book first to give me the kind of like platform to then transition into more
a little bit
high-minded stuff?
So I actually The Obstacles Away was my sort of first breakout book on philosophy, and I actually got offered. I remember I was walking up Spring Street, which is like 2 blocks from here. I was walking up Spring Street, and I got a call from someone that had read an article that I'd written, and they wanted me to turn it into a book. So I got an offer to do that book first, but it just wasn't the right timing, and I wasn't really ready for it yet. And so, trust me, I'm lying. The genesis of that book was probably like 2 years later, but I just knew when I had that idea that it was a much more marketable idea. It was much more provocative. It was much more timely, and so that it was the right one to start with.
It's crazy. It's so readable.
Thanks.
Yeah, it made me think about something else too, where like you were Robert Greene's apprentice.
Yeah.
And then like some people, I was just doing like a smattering of research on it, and people were like, his books are dangerous because they give powers to people basically. Like, they'll understand how to manipulate people too much.
Yeah.
And I mean, reading yours, I didn't think that was an issue, but I felt that power while reading it. I was like,
yeah.
And it's kind of scared me a little bit.
No, I think, his books are really cool. I mean, they're like banned in the federal prison system. Which is fucking dark.
Because they think they'll make the prisoners like, they'll be able to connive too well after that or something?
I guess, yeah. It makes them hard to control or something.
But you've read them. Do you think they are that? Do you think that's right?
I mean, I'm not, as an author, I'm very leery of any time books are being banned.
Right.
It's like, but I do think they're good. I do think they have the power to teach people things. Certainly, this is going to lead to a prison rebellion. I don't know, but but yeah.
How would Robert feel if that? He'd be bummed out. Yeah.
What?
If there was a prison rebellion?
Yeah.
Like his favorite book was your book.
Yeah. He's not like in with the Aryan Brotherhood or something. That's
no,
not
sure.
why he wrote the book.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted the books. I wanted to. It's just I knew that the marketing stuff, although I was really good at it and it's challenging and I still do some of it, it was like that's just not what I wanted to do with my life. So it was a transition at some point.
Did you always want to be a writer?
Not like from the time I was 6, but like at some point I sort of hardened on that idea, probably like towards the end of high school.
And did you discover philosophy as like, I remember in college I studied philosophy.
Yeah.
And,
where'd you go?
Santa Clara University.
Yeah.
And originally I wanted to do English.
Yeah.
And but then I discovered philosophy and this sort of style of thinking. I was like, oh, my mind works totally.
Yeah.
I
think what it was is like I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to write like sort of books like Robert's. And then when I sort of fell into Stoicism, it was like, oh, this is a thing. Like there's a whole genre here.
Yeah.
And it just like it was just sort of the perfect fit.
Yeah. For me, I was like, oh, this is the stuff I think about all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like how to live well or sort of the nature of existence or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I bet it's like, there's like comedy. So most people are like in comedy. They just love all kinds of comedy. And then like you'll see someone, you're like, oh, I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a clean comic like Jim Gaffigan, or I didn't know there was like a weird sort of performance artist comic like Galifianakis, or I didn't know there's a one-liner comic like and I'm sure there's like female comics where you're like, oh, I didn't know that was okay, and then you're like, fuck, I'm gonna do my version of that.
Yeah,
I think I had kind of a reaction like that.
Oh, that's cool.
To the Stoic philosophy.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is a subject matter. This is a style. This is a genre. Like that's what I want.
Yeah, I love it. It speaks like so immediately to what I need to fix in my life.
That's what I felt. Yeah, that was how it hit me the first time.
Yeah, I just love the. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now.
Dig
I was
in.
just talking.
Go, baby, go.
I'm just thinking about Laguna Beach stuff.
Sure.
No,
I think Talon's a stoicism guy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the way he handled that crew.
Definitely not Steven.
I know. I know. LC follows me on Instagram. She follows the Daily Stoic. No, not LC. Shit. What's the other one? No, who's LC's friend that was not?
Low super into like lifestyle stuff now. Yeah. Steve, you could tell he was all up in his ego.
Low is your favorite gal,
she's
right?
my favorite, yeah.
She's like the most normal one, right?
Yeah, she is. I think she sort of hated the spotlight a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna ask you just like some current event stuff. Like,
All right.
what do you think about this whole sport? Did you hear Sports Illustrated got bought by Maven? I'm not sure what Maven does, but they're going to basically turn it into like a content farm where instead of being like one
like
central
a Bleacher Report or
like Sports Nation where there's like a one for each town, and then like freelance writers are just generating local content. It makes me sad too because like Sports Illustrated to me is like, it means like this is, if it's in there,
it's real.
It's a real investigation.
Yeah, sure.
Real resources were thrown at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was just wondering because you talk so much about it. Like,
that's like what happened to Forbes. That's what happened to Time Magazine. It's sort of like a kind of a established model at this point, but I'm not sure how well it ends up for anyone, you know? And what essentially what that game is, it's arbitrage, right? So it's like, so they'll open it up to contributors. So then like I can write for Sports Illustrated, and then I can write about whoever I want. And then they can go like, did you see me? I was in Sports Illustrated. And that means something to people because they're thinking Sports Illustrated from 1996, not from 2019. And so it seems more prestigious than it is. That's the hustle there.
So what's the solution?
I mean, I think the solution is subscription, like making stuff that's so good that people actually want to pay for it. And it's probably just not operating at the scale that a lot of these magazines and publications were operating on. So like, I don't know how many people work at Sports Illustrated, but I imagine it's huge.
Right.
And
so it should be like a couple hundred rather than like a couple thousand or something.
Probably something like that, yeah.
Is there anything else we should ask? I mean, I guess I had some more stuff on Stillness.
I guess it was cool when you talked about John F. Kennedy, how you utilize stillness to avoid global disaster.
Beast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about, I think when people hear the word stillness, they think it's meditating or it's like, you know, moving into a monastery or something. I wanted to talk about how do you do stillness in the real world, in real life, when the stakes are very high. The Cuban Missile Crisis is obviously one of those. I mean, like, the world is this close to basically ending. And it was sort of through his self-discipline and his sort of empathy, his ability to slow things down, that he prevents that from happening. And I think that's a good model. Like, you know, when shit goes shit goes sideways, you get sued or you get confronted, or, you know, you run out of money in your company, or you're, you know, in some, you know, staring down the barrel of a divorce, like whatever. We tend to make those really bad situations worse by escalating them rather than sort of like unwinding them and getting to whatever the core, the essence of the problem is.
Sort of being reactive.
Totally.
To life.
Totally.
And not, taking a moment to think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts.
When you like come to the discovery that like ego is the opposite of stillness, like is that through writing, or is that like a thought that pops in your head, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, so I wrote a whole book on ego, so obviously I've thought a lot about it, but it just, having met my share of very egotistical people, it doesn't seem like they're having a lot of fun. And in fact, their life is this sort of like endless cycle of drama and conflict, most of which is totally self-inflicted.
Because they're just trying to beat everybody.
Like, so what ego takes like a totally innocuous remark and it makes it personal, right? Or ego takes some, unrelated situation and it inserts itself into it. Or ego is, instead of being happy with everything that it has, ego's like, I gotta have more. So it overreaches. You know, ego is just this when you and I have a lot of friends and I see it, you know, you pull up Twitter and you're just like, who are you shouting at? You know what I mean? Like they really do have the belief that like there's like millions of people hanging on.
That it matters.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, just relax. Like nobody gives a shit. Like you just worked yourself up on this. Like nobody is reading this. And like in fact, you've probably like prematurely used whatever ammunition you have for some moment in favor of just like getting upset instead of using it at some moment when you could like actually change someone's mind.
Yeah, it's sort of like in fighting for attention or anything like that. It's like once you get what you've been fighting for, it's always kind of it's never a good feeling inside. It's sort of like you're like, oh, I was fighting for like all this attention, like with stand up or something. And you like want to be like the center of attention.
Yeah. Well, no, I was watching SNL like clips last night, and they were like, I guess last month Trump tweeted 800 times as president. That's fucking insane. Yeah. And Chrissy Teigen tweeted like 250 times, which is also way too much. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is horrible.
Yeah, and they both probably have too much influence.
Yeah.
Although our manager also represents Chrissy Teigen, so I love her to death. She's the greatest.
She's great. She's fired.
What was I going to ask about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, what were we were... Oh, SNL.
Yeah.
Do you have a take on the Shane Gillis thing?
Oh, he's the one that got in trouble for saying...
yeah, and I'm sorry for just lobbing this huge issue at you and being like, break it down. But
no. I mean, look, I'm not a super big proponent of like cancel culture. I'm not a pro. I think cancel culture is really dangerous, and I think we've sort of like cultivated... I think people are now sort of like almost excited for the opportunity to cancel people, which I think is really like dark and messed up. At the same time, from what I saw in the comments, it's like, dude, what are you talking about? This is like horrible. Right. Like
what he was saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like political correctness, and then there's like whatever that was.
Yeah.
But so I didn't. It's like I wasn't like, oh, these are totally cool. Everyone's overreacting. At the same time, like, I think we've got to come back to this idea that, like, people do a lot of really dumb, fucked up stuff, and they do it for a lot of different reasons, most of which, I would say most of the time, it's not because they're bad people.
Yeah.
And so our inability to have sort of, like, mercy or empathy for that, and our, like, sort of glee at, like, taking whatever good things they've accumulated in their life away from them, that just doesn't strike me as like a positive part of society.
Yeah, and then you see like the tweets and stuff in the comments, like he tweeted after he got fired, and then the responses to him were just like, go die, you piece of shit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're the worst human alive.
Yeah.
And it's like
he's not even in the top 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, like it just...
Yeah, send that to like Pol Pot if he was still
yeah. There's so much genuine evil and awful in the world that like a guy who made a racist comment on a podcast like some time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should never be the center of our universe.
Yeah. And I think what we've also lost is like the idea that there's some positive that could come out of this does not even occur to people. Like okay, so you force this guy to get fired. You make him totally radioactive. He's incapable of working in his chosen profession again. Like, does this make him more a contributing member of society or like less? Like, if you want to make someone bitter and angry and less willing to like understand and reconsider their past beliefs, like sort of like whatever the reaction we're choosing to have in these situations is like pretty much the perfect recipe for that.
Yeah. Like, no one's saying like, how do we get the best out of this person?
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, all right, like die or you're a hero.
Yeah.
It's like,
you're a terrible piece of shit.
And look, there is like some hypocrisy in it. There was this like New York Times reporter that they caught, saying a bunch of like, I would call them racist. She's like an Asian reporter, and she was like saying a bunch of stuff. Like, she's like, she was like, there are a bunch of tweets about white people. Remember this like a year ago? And we're like, oh, like this is understandable because it was like a joke, or like we like people went out of their way to like rationalize, to like project good intentions in what she was saying, and she kept her job. And so it's like, it's hard to, I think also the hypocrisy of it only drives sort of people are on the right, who are kind of like on the line between, so am I right or am I alt-right? Mm-hmm. It's like makes them more alt-right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And there was also a case about a week ago or something. This guy went viral he put up like this sign. He's like, Venmo me for Busch Light beers.
Yeah. And then he supposedly said something dumb when he was like 16.
Yeah, from like 2011, he tweeted something. Yeah. He tweeted some racist stuff. And it's sort of like the reporters from like the Iowa newspaper. Yeah. He's like, I got him. I did it. And then someone found tweets that he sent that were really racist. The reporter. They're like, dude, what about these, dude? And he's like, oh yeah, my bad.
Right. No, it's like when other people do it, it's because they're horrible, awful people. And then when you do it, it's my bad.
Right.
And I think that sort of encapsulates the moral bankruptcy of all of it.
And with the people who are seeking this stuff out or who are reacting the most passionately to it, it's almost like, what's going on with you?
Sure.
That like almost like, what are you hiding, or like what are you trying to cover up? Or
sure.
I always get that feeling.
Or a lot of free time too. Someone tried to cancel my girlfriend.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
Like she works in brand. She's a brand director. And then this person like tried to cancel her. And then I looked at the person and I was like, they just have way too much free time on their hands.
Of course.
Yeah. Like I was like, she doesn't have a job right now. Yeah. She was ill. Yeah. And I was like, look, she's ill. She feels kind of powerless. This is really tangible power.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right. Question time.
All right.
What up, Stokers? I'm coming at you with a serious dilemma from the high plains of Wyoming. I was up at my lady's cabin last week with her fam. Her father granted me with the task of cutting down an overhanging tree next to the cabin. Long story short, I miscut the tree and ended up falling on top of the cabin and totally fucked it up. Her dad went insane and made me leave on the spot. I've been trying to talk with her dad and he won't answer any of my calls, and my lady says he never wants to see me ever again. It sucks because I feel like the stoke level was soaring before this and now it's completely gone. I want to fix the issue like a man, but her father's not letting me do anything. I need some advice. P.S. The podcast is freaking rad. I got all my homies listening to it now. Ned.
So we cut down a tree and it destroyed the cabin.
Yeah, at the dad's house. The dad commissioned him to cut down the tree, put faith in him, and then he fucked up the dad's house. And now the dad is writing him off forever, and he wants to know how he can bounce back.
What do you think? Or do I have to answer?
I think you're like
start with your
dude.
wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, first I would say like I don't like the dad sort of like dragooning like his daughter's boyfriend and doing manual labor at his cabin. Like I'm not doing any work at my girlfriend's house because her dad asked me. Like that's not what I signed up for. So like I feel like he sort of got what he paid for. You know,
yeah.
like
right.
So I'm not that sympathetic to the dad, and I kind of feel like Ned is maybe taking this all more seriously than he needs to. Like you apologized, maybe if you want to offer to pay for it, cool, but like I don't think he did anything wrong. Is he a professional tree trimmer? Like what qualifications?
An arborist?
Yeah, an arborist. Yeah, like what? He's like, oh, but then I did it wrong. It's like. It's probably because you didn't fucking know how to trim any trees and you had no business doing this in the first place, nor should you have been asked to. So I don't know. I feel like all that really matters is the girl still into you? If she is, cool, continue. If she's going to take her dad's side, like this was never going to work out to begin with because it's a fucked up relationship.
Yeah, it's almost like, welcome to my lake house. Now scale that tree and cut off that branch.
Yeah. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And dude, here's the thing. We all at some point fuck up our girlfriend's parents' house. Mm-hmm. That's just something that happens. You know, you're going to break a vase, you're horny, you guys aren't able to get it in. You knock something over because you got all that energy. And look, in time, they'll forgive you and it'll be a funny story. You just got to, in the face of a mistake, have consistent good behavior. And, you know, don't cut any more trees down on their house, and which can be tough, but I think you can do it, and then you'll be good.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think you just got to stay strong and just own your mistake. Be like, I fucked up that tree.
I'm not sure he made a mistake, though. I mean, right, I feel like the dad is clearly in the wrong. Wait for him to come around or don't.
Yeah, or like
he'll either come around or he won't.
Send him a bill for that job, and then send him a prospective contract to fix it. Yeah, for like $2,000.
Yeah.
Send the proper professionals to his place.
Yeah.
What up, Stokers? I've been surfing for years with my cousin Tom. We have been shredding and always enjoy a good time. Over the years, we have brought in a couple new bros to increase the stoke. Here's the problem. A couple years ago, Tom brought in a friend from his work who is a total schmoll. A schmoll is a friend that nobody likes in the group.
Got it.
He was also a kook to add to it. I have no problems with kooks. Kooks is like a poser surfer.
Got it.
We all start somewhere, but this guy was just the worst. Lucky for me, he didn't last more than 2 sessions before he bailed. Crisis averted. So I thought. 3 weeks ago, the schmoll reappeared after 2 years. He came back with extra schmollness and has made surf sessions unbearable. He is still on kook level, and instead of respecting the line, the etiquette, he yells, whistles, talks loud, and tries to jump on every wave. Then gets mad because the groms figure him out and jump on every wave soon after. He's worse than a kneeboarder. Shout out Gary, you loser. Gary's a rival of ours who upsets Chad a lot.
He sucks.
And he's stuck in my squad.
And kneeboarding is a not cool sport.
It's cool. I respect it, but the way Gary approaches it, totally selfish, hogging the barrels.
Got it.
Just tries to dominate, kind of like the schmoll he's describing.
And I think kneeboarding is cool, but in the hierarchy of the aquatic sports, you got to know where you fall. So right size your confidence, Gary.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So I feel like I'm guilty just by association on the beach. I have told Tom how it bums me out, and he tells me to be cool, and the schmoll is a nice guy. To be fair, he's not a horrible person, just not rad for this squad. I have a pretty excellent schmoll meter, and this dude is just going to harsh the entire squad surf vibes. I love our traditional weekly surf sessions and don't want to lose a day riding giants with my bros. What should I do?
I mean, what seemed to be missing there was telling him not to invite this guy anymore. Like, it doesn't seem that complicated. This seems like a problem like a 17-year-old would have and not an adult. Like,
he might be 17.
I don't like it when you invite this person. I'm not going to come if you keep inviting them. Sort of end of conversation.
That's not too harsh, you don't think?
I think
it doesn't seem that harsh. You're like, hey, this guy's a douche. I don't have any fun when he's around. He's annoying. I'd prefer if you didn't invite him anymore.
I guess I'm weird. What if I was that douche?
But
I guess I'd learn from
how
being
else would you learn?
douched out.
Yeah.
I don't think you would be, because in this case there's clear-cut surf etiquette.
Yeah.
And there's only so many waves per person, and sort of maintaining a good vibe in the water is essential.
Like there's a friend of a friend who just like gets super wasted anytime we spend. So I like hate spending time with him. So I just like, if he's coming, I just don't come. Like, I just don't come. I just go do something else. Or if he shows up, I leave. Like.
Does he know? Like, when you leave, does he know? Are you pretty, like, subtle
But that's the
about
thing, as an adult, like, this isn't really my problem. I'm just, like, if I don't like something, I'm just not going to be around it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you really, I think you either got to figure out, like, how much does this person bother you? Do they bother you so much that you don't want to be around them? If so, leave, or ask them not to be invited anymore.
For sure.
And he could talk to the schmoll about his behavior.
See, to me, that's like, now you're getting super complicated. You're getting up in people's business. Like, it's not your job to change this person. It's your job to either invite them or not be around when they are invited.
I think it is my job.
But what about to like educate him on, like, there's an etiquette.
It sounds like he's already talked to him about it. Didn't he say that?
Mm-hmm. He's mentioned the schmollness to the
intermediary.
Yeah.
But to the actual schmoll?
Not to the actual schmoll. He hasn't gone to the schmoll source.
Yeah.
What up, gods of Stoke? My question is, how do you get over your ex-babe? Our fire romance has been put out, and my Stoke has not been the same. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate this. And shout out my dog, Abe Shapiro, for being a legend. What up, Abe? The next question's also about this, too.
What is it?
He's still hung up on his ex, and he wants to know how to get over her.
I'm less qualified to answer this one.
Because you've been with the same...
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone through a breakup.
Wow.
I would say get out in the world, do stuff.
Yeah.
Get active, get social, go paintballing with your dogs, go get ample poke bowls, go meditate. I mean, just do stuff. I think if you isolate and you just watch, 10 Things I Hate About You, then it's just going to amplify the pain.
Pokeballs kind of came out of nowhere, didn't they?
Yeah. But
well, for us, we kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be braggy.
No, you guys were on the cutting edge of the.
If I had the funds, I would have invested early.
Yeah, you were always like, dude, Sweetfin.
Yeah.
Like, we got to throw in the stock for Sweetfin.
I kept telling my dad that. I was like, Dad, Sweetfin is going to pop off. And he's like, I don't even know what that is. So,
Do you think it's going to be like the next wave of like cupcakes or
it's going to crash?
froyo? Yeah.
They're going to find something health-wise that,
Yeah.
like, if you eat too much tuna, like, you grow like a sixth toe or something. Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm just going to be stoked that my sandals have a little more spread at the end.
yeah, no, I'm going to be stoked that I'll have more tuna.
Yeah, more tuna for me. Chad and JT, savants of Stoke. My bro at work and I find ourselves in a most upsetting predicament. Our supervisor is a total re-knob.
I know what that is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But Chad likes to say it.
It's boner backwards.
Yeah, I know. I grew up in California.
Where'd you grow up?
Sacramento.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's fire. Our supervisor, total re-knob, it's boner backwards, and we find our Stoke levels depleted more by the day. He's an epic schmoll, and we find it a great struggle to keep ourselves staying amped. The dude is mad overbearing and is constantly being a major tool. He's also got this weird obsession with skulls, and has them decorated all over his office, which also makes him a major tryhard. Do you guys have any ideas on how we can keep each other on the up and up, even though we're stuck with this dick all the time? P.S. Your fire pod has helped raise our Stoke and give us a strong game face to take on his negative attitude. Mad props to you dudes and stay righteous. I'm going to slide in real quick. Dude, I think Mr. Holliday's books, I'm being sincere too, would actually help with this a lot. Yeah.
They might, yeah. You could also just change jobs.
I like your solutions. It's kind of just like, just separate yourself from the problem.
Yeah.
Like, don't even get involved.
You're not going to change your re-knob of a boss.
Yeah. You can't change people.
You can't.
You can't change a re-knob.
No.
You can't fix a re-knob. You can't make it flaccid.
I'd either go like, look, I have this job for the next like year while I'm graduating college or whatever, so I'm gonna like sort of learn what not to do from this person, or I'm gonna sort of use it as an opportunity to figure out, this or that about like sort of leadership or work.
What up, bros? One of my friends asked me to talk with her the other day. 30 minutes in, she tells me that she and her friends have noticed I've been flirting with her. Def have not. She knows I've got a girl, and she definitely knows my personality. So this could have been brought up over text, but the fact that she wanted to talk in person was super suspect, and she was being extra sketch. Some of the bros thought it was too suspect and said she wants the pipe. I think she was just concerned, even though there was obvious sexual tension in her voice. Was she concerned, or does she want the pipe? How do I let this babe, a hard 8, soft 9, down without letting her down?
What do you got?
I think you just don't have to respond. Like, if she's like, hey, like, let's go hook up, you don't even have to say no. You just let it sit there. She'll get the message. And you just keep your space and focus on you and yours. And like Ryan suggests in the book, the problem will work itself out over time.
Yeah, this doesn't strike me as like a huge crisis. Like it's like, how do I
not sleep with hot chicks?
Yeah, just don't.
Sometimes people write in just because I think they want to let us know that there's a hot chick that wants to sleep with them.
I think they like having the problem.
Yeah. And I think that's nice. You want to be seen. Because it is nice if a hot person wants to hook up with you. And you want people to see that. Yeah. And so I appreciate that you wrote into us, dude. But you know the answer. That's just to not do this. And you don't ever have to write this email again. You got it out of your system, dog. Yeah. Although you probably didn't. And as men, we like that. Yeah. We like people to know that we're desirable.
Of course.
Yeah, maybe I just cap that off by saying congrats.
Sure.
Congrats that the super hot chick wants to hook up with you, dude. I'm proud of you. Stoked for you. I'm sure you have a magnetic personality and you're charming, and props.
Well, now the
dude,
cooler,
that was really nice.
I think the cooler thing is like, can you not do a shitty thing?
Yeah.
Like to someone else.
Yeah, it's like we respect that you have the opportunity, but we respect more if you say no to the opportunity because of your moral fortitude.
Exactly.
Fire.
Yeah, maintain nobility.
All right.
Don't bone.
Yeah, don't bone. Chad, what is your beef of the week?
My beef of the week, keeping with the theme, is with ego. Ego can trip you up. I feel like I'm trying to explain ego with Ryan here. He's like, you're getting it all wrong, dude. But ego, it's especially because we live in the social media world, it's so easy to get caught up in likes and sort of accolades and comments and all that kind of stuff. And entertainment world too, you're trying to keep rising, and then you sort of feel like that's dependent upon the opinions of other people's, and in a way it is. But I think, especially after reading this book and just getting back to sort of my understanding of all this stuff, it's important to just remember that doing something for the sake of doing it And I think having fun and taking risks and enjoying it is the most important thing. And everything else that happens as a byproduct, in the end, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're enjoying your life and you're cultivating a well-balanced life with friends, family, and all that kind of stuff.
Fire.
Did
It felt kind of like a weak beef, though. I mean, what are you opposing? What's your beef with?
I guess I was just dealing with.
I mean, I agree with all of it.
Yeah. I didn't say what my beef is, though.
Yeah.
You're right. Thanks for calling me out. What is my beef?
We might have to keep it moving too, dog.
Yeah.
I have a good one. I don't like these sort of really long Instagram captions, like where people are writing these
he
like
hates that.
I hate
whole fucking essay.
The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, if The Rock, he does a paragraph for each post, I'm like, dude, if you just said stoked,
Yeah.
that would speak volumes.
This is a photographic medium, I don't need an essay that I have to read.
Yeah, they say a photo's worth 1,000 words. So why'd you just write another 1,000? This is now 2,000 words.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's always like this like inane like pseudo profundity about like nonsense.
Right. Like I was struggling, and then I really decided one day that I was just gonna like let myself be. And you're like, what does that have to do with you being on a jet ski in the Cayman Islands, dude? Yeah.
Right. No, and it's always like it's like I've been struggling so much with how unbeautiful I feel, and it's like you just really wanted people to say that you're pretty.
Beautiful.
It's just like this long way to fish for compliments.
Yeah, like when I put up a photo like that, I just go, tell me I'm pretty, and then I just smile as it rolls in.
There you go.
All right, my beef of the week is with a historical beef between Richard Gere and Sly Stallone. I guess they were at a party and they were both going after Princess Diane. Is it Diana or Diane? Diana. After she had broken up with Charles, and I guess Sly was really mad because Richard Gere was just such a Lothario, and he was complaining to other people. He's like, if I would have known that fucking Prince was here, I never would have come. And he was just fuming. And I guess at one point they actually came to fisticuffs. And I just think imagine those two, pillars of the entertainment industry doing battle over a queen or princess is really exciting. So I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
You already did your beef.
I did mine.
Chad, who is your babe of the week?
Before I begin, I think the beef I was going for is the notification aspect of phones.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't like it.
All right.
Well said.
That's a great bit.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. All right, that's my beef. I don't have to explain anymore. All right. What was it, babe or legend?
Babe.
Babe is Kristen Bell. But Kristen Bell, I'd say she's a babe because she does fire performances in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I love Veronica Mars, and I love her and Dax Shepard together. I think it's very charming and cute.
For sure. Dude, my babe of the week is my dogs. All of them.
How many?
Not my canine dogs.
Got it.
My dogs.
Got it. Sure.
My boys. I love them all. They're the best guys in the world. They've made me a better person. They've seen me through thick and thin. And I'm just thankful for them. And I think sometimes we think like as we get older, as things change, you got to lose your dogs. But that's just a lie that's been perpetuated by no one bad. It's just people think that. Like I got kicked out of school in high school. My parents were like, you're going to make all new friends. And I was like, nah, I think I'm going to keep my old friends. And I kept them. And we're still dogs. So, if you want to stay dogs with your dogs, that's totally doable as well. And if you want to transition, that's cool too. Mr. Holiday, who's your babe of the week?
I don't really have one.
Nice, dude. Interesting.
Yeah. I wasn't briefed that I would need to
I know we kind of throw it at people. It'd probably be better if we let them prep, but then like people don't want to prep for a podcast.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I've sent the messages to people and I'm like, I don't think someone at this status is really gonna like want to do this. So I just tell them like, come in, we'll do all the work. Yeah.
Right.
Can you do a legend babe beef quote?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah. And then you got to explain to them what it is.
All right.
Chad, who's your legend of the week?
My legend of the week is Lao Tzu, author of the Tao Te Ching. I feel like you gleaned a lot of wisdom from the Tao. Maintaining balance, maintaining balance is legit, dude. So make sure you don't go to one extreme or the other. Try to find balance in all areas of your life. And shout out to Lao Tzu for being a freaking legend. My legend of the week is Anne Frank, also referenced in Mr. Holiday's book, Stillness is the Key. Do you like being called Mr. Holiday or not?
I'll take it.
All right, cool. Thanks for being easygoing about it. Some people get fired up. Yeah, just what an incredible human being.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
and
sure.
what she taught us about humanity from such a young age, like how precocious and just, and how humanistic she was in terms of just like accepting people. Like the way she talks about the soul is like pretty incredible. And I'm thankful that a beast like her existed. Probably a weird thing to call her a beast, but
so it's a bit odd.
yeah.
So Babe Legend, my sister got married on Friday. Amy,
congrats.
also from California. So
Nice.
that was awesome. Good for her.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, this is what we'll end it with. Chad, what is your quote of the week?
My quote of the week comes from our buddy Brad Fuller. He said he always tells his kids to repeat humble and grateful.
Nice.
Good quote.
My quote of the week is from your book, To Wage Peace with Oneself.
Ooh, that's a good quote. I like that.
I loved it. Do you have a quote of the week?
Oh
I like your Blaine Pascal quote a lot.
yeah, let's do that. Okay, so he said, all of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit quietly in a room alone.
I feel that so much,
Of
dude.
course, and that was 500 years ago.
I can't wait to get home and just do nothing. And then once I get home and do nothing, sirens start going off in my dome.
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
My beef of the week is actually with my lack of beef of the week.
Cool.
Eat a cow, dog. All right. Mr. Holiday, thank you so much for everything. This
Yeah,
was, I
thanks
don't know
for
why I'm
having
calling you that. Ryan,
Yeah,
my dog.
that's my name.
Thank you for doing the pod. Can you sign something for my GF
Yeah,
real
of
quick?
course.
Cool. All right.
All right. Sweet.
Let's do it.
Guys,
Bye.
check out Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. Here it is. And, dude, thank you for coming in.
If you need advice,